Hello, this is BGA again. I've gotten a few requests to do a comparison between piston-filled fountain pens and cartridge-converter fountain pens and the pros and cons of each. So that is going to be the focus of this video. So welcome back to my channel. I personally prefer piston-filled fountain pens. The reason why, if you take, for example, this is my current favorite pen of the moment. This is a Mont Blanc 146. There's an allure to piston-filled fountain pens for me. You have to refill using bottled ink only. They hold a large amount of ink. If you think about it, you've got a barrel that you can fill with ink. There's no converter, there's no cartridge, you've just got the actual barrel and the mechanism to draw up ink. So the positives are that piston-filled fountain pens hold a lot of ink. And they have a truly nostalgic appeal to them. There's just something about having to dip the nib of your pen in a bottle of ink and filling it up that just I enjoy. Cartridge converter pens. This is a Mont Blanc Classique, and this is a cartridge converter, meaning that it will accept a cartridge of ink or a converter allowing you to use bottled ink. If you use the converter, it basically converts it into a piston-like system, but it still won't hold quite as much ink, and it doesn't really have the same nostalgic appeal. And for me, that's a major drawback. However, the pros of a cartridge converter pen are you can carry basically as many of these cartridges as you want, and you'll always have ink. You can refill these cartridges with a syringe, and you'll always have a ready supply of ink. The drawbacks are it's slightly more expensive to use a cartridge type system. You don't have as many options as far as colors, etc. Some pen brands have proprietary cartridges, etc. An advantage of cartridge converters, not of cartridges, of using a cartridge converter, is that if you are flying, you can actually. I don't have a cartridge converter readily. Hold on one second. Actually. The advantage of a cartridge converter pen is that if you know when you're flying with a fountain pen, you should always have the cartridge either completely empty or completely full. That's a general rule of thumb. If you see some of my other videos, I fly private airplanes, both pressurized and non-pressurized, and I've never had a problem. I focus on keeping the nib up unless I'm at a constant altitude and I'm writing in flight. Other than that, I keep the nib up, and I've never had a problem. But in theory, an advantage of a cartridge converter pen is that you can always get rid of excess air by screwing the converter like so. And the advantage of that in flight is that you will not have any air pressure changes in your pen that would cause a leak. So that's one major advantage of a cartridge converter to some people. Montblanc has the pen, the Traveler, which is basically a 146, which is my favorite piston filler. I own a couple of them if you've seen my previous videos, but they do make this in a cartridge converter system, which comes with a nice Montblanc pouch where you can store your converter, your cartridges, etc. So for traveling, that's one advantage. Another advantage, you can change out, you can clean your pen a lot easier. With Montblanc Piston pen, the only way, if you want to change colors or completely clean it out, is you have to suck up ink. I'm sorry, you have to suck up clear water, dispel the clear water, repeat the process until the inky color is gone, and then still sometimes you'll find residue. With a cartridge converter pen, you can take I think they call them an ear syringe or a nose syringe, basically what you can pick up at a pharmacy. The official purpose of the product is to clear the nostrils of ears of a young infant, but you can take that bulb syringe, stick it into the section. Hold on one second, I'll show you this. You can stick it into the section here and flush clear water through the pen until it is completely clean. So cartridge converters are slightly easier to clean, but to me it's kind of like cheating. It's not a true fountain pen unless it's a piston, but that is solely a matter of opinion. And I own both types of pens. I just enjoy the piston filling type mechanism a lot more. I can hold more ink. I like the whole process of filling my pen. And it's just, I don't know, to me a cartridge converter always seems like you're cheating. It's not like the real, if you're going to go with a fountain pen, get a piston fountain pen or a real fountain pen. And that's opinions. I'm sure some people will say, a real fountain pen can be a cartridge converter. Yes, it can. This is just my opinion. Part of the hobby, part of what I enjoy is filling a piston filler and even cleaning out a piston filler, even though it can take a long time, especially on pens that you can't easily disassemble, such as a Montblanc. On like a TWSBI 540, which is a great starter pen. They just came out with a replacement. If you see my other videos, I talk about that. Those are piston-filled pens that you can take apart, re-lubricate yourself. You can take apart Montblancs if you buy special tools on eBay, etc., etc. To me, it's not worth it. I'd rather the rare occasion that I have trouble with a Montblanc, it's like $60-$70 to send your pen to Montblanc, and they will completely rejuvenate the pen for you for that price. So it's not a huge deal. So that's the major pros and cons of a piston versus a cartridge converter. Just keep in mind with the piston filled fountain pen, you can hold more ink, but it is more difficult to clean. Cartridge converter, it doesn't hold as much ink as most piston filled fountain pens can, and it doesn't give you the full fountain pen experience, as I'll call it. But that is just my opinion. There are certainly lots of great cartridge converter pens on the market. A lot of great cartridges. Aurora, for example, makes large cartridges for their pens. Here's a full Aurora cartridge versus a standard international cartridge. You can see it holds about double the ink. So if you're the type of person who's just getting into the hobby and I guess you want to call it the ease and the cleanliness of just being able to swap out cartridges like you would a roller ball or a ballpoint, feel free to try the cartridge converters. One of my favorite starter pens, the Lamy Safari, is a cartridge converter pen. And what you can always do with that pen, which is what I do, here I'll show you exactly. Here's a Lamy Safari in their special edition green. What you can do is, with a syringe, refill the cartridge. I do have the cartridge converter, the Z24, I believe is the model number, but it's just as easy to take a syringe, suck up some ink, and fill up the cartridge, an empty cartridge after you've cleaned it out thoroughly with clean water. So that's an overall comparison between piston fillers and cartridge converters. If you have any specific questions, feel free to comment below. And I thank you for watching. Bye. Filled fountain pens. The reason why, if you take, for example, this is my current favorite pen of the moment. This is a Mont Blanc 146. There's an allure to piston-filled fountain pens for me. You have to refill using bottled ink only. They hold a large cartridge converter fountain pens, and the pros and cons of each. So that is going to be the focus of this video. So welcome back to my channel. I personally prefer piston. Hello, this is BGA again. I've gotten a few requests to do a comparison between piston-filled fountain pens and amount of ink. If you think about it, you've got a barrel that you can fill with ink. There's no converter, there's no cartridge. You